Chapter 1: Dawn of Civilization. The first known writing system, cuneiform, was developed by the Sumerians around 3400 BCE. It allowed record-keeping and complex communication, laying the foundation for history. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2560 BCE in Egypt. It is the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world and demonstrated advanced engineering skills. The Code of Hammurabi, created circa 1754 BCE, is one of the earliest legal codes. It introduced laws and punishments to regulate society in ancient Babylon. The Indus Valley civilization had planned cities with sophisticated drainage systems around 2500 BCE. This shows early urban planning and public health considerations. The ancient Egyptians believed in an afterlife and built elaborate tombs and rituals. This belief influenced their culture, art, and monumental architecture. The invention of the wheel, around 3500 BCE, revolutionized transport and technology. It was crucial for agriculture, trade, and warfare. The Bronze Age began around 3300 BCE, marked by the use of metal tools and weapons. This period saw major technological and cultural advances worldwide. Stonehenge was constructed in stages between 3000 BCE and 2000 BCE. Its purpose remains partly mysterious, but it likely had religious and astronomical significance. Ancient Mesopotamians invented the first calendar to track agricultural cycles. This innovation helped organize farming and religious festivals. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the earliest known works of literature, dating from around 2100 BCE. It explores themes of friendship, mortality, and the quest for immortality. Papyrus was used in ancient Egypt as a writing material. It enabled record-keeping and communication, predating modern paper. The ancient Hebrews are credited with developing monotheism. This religious concept deeply influenced Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Assyrian Empire pioneered military strategies and siege warfare techniques. Their innovations influenced later empires in warfare. The Shang dynasty in China, 1600 to 1046 BCE, developed early Chinese writing. This script evolved into modern Chinese characters. The oracle bones were used for divination in ancient China. They provide important archaeological insights into early Chinese civilization. The invention of iron smelting around 1200 BCE led to the Iron Age. Iron tools and weapons were stronger and more durable than bronze. The Olmecs in present-day Mexico created colossal stone heads around 1200 BCE. These works highlight early complex societies in the Americas. The Phoenicians developed the first alphabet around 1000 BCE. This writing system influenced many modern alphabets. The Zoroastrian religion originated in ancient Persia around 1000 BCE. It introduced ideas of dualism and ethical monotheism. The Greek city-states such as Athens and Sparta began developing around 800 BCE. They laid foundations for democracy, philosophy, and military traditions. The Olympic Games began in 776 BCE in Greece as a religious festival. They celebrated athletic competition and unity among city-states. The construction of the Parthenon in Athens was completed in 432 BCE. It epitomizes classical Greek architecture and art. The Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great c. 550 BCE was the largest the world had seen. It was known for tolerance and efficient administration. The philosopher Socrates lived in Athens in the 5th century BCE. His method of questioning inspired Western philosophy. The conquests of Alexander the Great, 356 to 323 BCE, spread Greek culture widely. His empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and India. The Roman Republic was founded in 509 BCE, introducing a mixed system of governance. It influenced modern concepts of law and citizenship. The Punic Wars 264–146 BCE were fought between Rome and Carthage. They established Rome as the dominant Mediterranean power. Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE ended the Roman Republic. It led to the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus. Roman engineering achievements include aqueducts and extensive road networks. These infrastructure projects supported urbanization and military control. The spread of Christianity began during the Roman Empire in the 1st century CE. It became a major world religion, influencing Western civilization. Chapter 2: Classical Empires and Thinkers. Confucius, a Chinese philosopher, lived during the 6th century BCE. His teachings emphasized morality, family loyalty, and social harmony. The Maurya Empire, founded by Chandragupta Maurya, c. 321 BCE, unified much of India. Ashoka, one of its rulers, promoted Buddhism and non-violence. The Silk Road facilitated trade between Asia and Europe, starting around 130 BCE. It enabled cultural and technological exchanges across continents. Greek philosopher Aristotle tutored Alexander the Great. His works covered diverse subjects, including logic, ethics, and natural sciences. The Roman Empire reached its territorial peak under Emperor Trajan in 117 CE. It encompassed vast regions across Europe, Asia, and Africa. The Colosseum in Rome was completed in 80 CE. It hosted gladiatorial games and public spectacles. The Pax Romana was a 200-year period of relative peace and stability in the Roman Empire. It allowed trade, culture, and infrastructure to flourish. Roman law laid the foundation for many modern legal systems. Concepts like innocent until proven guilty originated here. The spread of Buddhism across Asia intensified during this period. It influenced cultures from India to China and Japan. The Han Dynasty in China, 206 BCE, 220 CE, established a centralized bureaucracy. It promoted Confucianism as state ideology. Roman concrete was a durable building material that contributed to architectural longevity. Many Roman structures still stand today thanks to it. Greek physician Hippocrates is often called the father of medicine. He established ethical medical practices and clinical observation. The Dead Sea Scrolls, dating to this era, provide insight into Jewish history and religion. They include some of the oldest known biblical texts. The invention of the watermill improved grain grinding efficiency in Roman times. It boosted agricultural productivity. Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity and issued the Edict of Milan in 313 CE. This legalized Christianity and led to its spread within the Roman Empire. The Gupta Empire in India, 320 to 550 CE, is known as a golden age of science and arts. Mathematics advanced with the concept of zero and decimal system. The Huns invaded Europe during the 4th and 5th centuries CE. Their incursions contributed to the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE defined foundational Christian doctrines. It helped unify the early church. Roman baths were social and cultural centers in ancient cities. They showcased advanced engineering of water systems. Greek fire, an incendiary weapon, was used by the Byzantine Empire. Its composition remains a historical mystery. The edicts of Ashoka promoted moral governance and religious tolerance. They are some of the earliest written declarations of human rights. Paper was invented in China around the 2nd century CE. It transformed record-keeping and literacy. The Maya civilization began developing complex city-states around 250 CE. They excelled in astronomy, architecture, and writing. The fall of the Western Roman Empire occurred in 476 CE. This marked the beginning of the medieval period in Europe. The Byzantine Empire preserved Roman law and culture after Rome's fall. It lasted for nearly 1,000 years thereafter. The development of the stirrup in Central Asia revolutionized cavalry warfare. It improved horse-mounted combat effectiveness. The Sanskrit language was standardized and used for Hindu religious texts. It influenced many South Asian languages. The philosopher Plotinus founded Neoplatonism in the 3rd century CE. It shaped early Christian and Islamic philosophy. The invention of the codex book format replaced scrolls. It facilitated easier reading and preservation of texts. Chapter 3: Medieval Transformations. The spread of Islam began in the 7th century with Prophet Muhammad. It rapidly expanded across the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Asia and Europe. Charlemagne was crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 800 CE. He unified much of Western Europe and promoted learning. The Viking Age, late 8th to 11th centuries, saw Norse exploration and raids. Vikings reached North America centuries before Columbus. The Byzantine Empire preserved classical knowledge and Christian traditions. Its capital, Constantinople, was a major cultural hub. The feudal system structured medieval European society. It was based on land ownership and obligations between lords and vassals. The Great Schism of 1054 divided Christianity into Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches. It formalized a major religious split still present today. The Crusades, 11th to 13th centuries, were military campaigns to control the Holy Land. They affected Christian-Muslim relations and trade routes. Universities first appeared in medieval Europe around the 12th century. They became centers for theology, law, and medicine. The Magna Carta was signed in 1215, limiting royal power in England. It is considered a foundational document for constitutional law. The Black Death, 1347 to 1351, killed an estimated 25 million people in Europe. It profoundly impacted social and economic structures. Gutenberg's printing press, invented around 1440, revolutionized information dissemination. It allowed mass production of books and literacy growth. The Hundred Years' War, 1337 to 1453, was fought between England and France. It influenced national identities and military tactics. The Mongol Empire became the largest contiguous empire in history under Genghis Khan. It connected East and West through trade and cultural exchange. The Reconquista ended in 1492 with the fall of Granada. It marked the completion of Christian reconquest of Spain. Joan of Arc led French forces during the Hundred Years' War. She became a symbol of French unity and nationalism. Medieval cathedrals like Notre Dame took centuries to build and showcase Gothic architecture. They served as religious, cultural, and social centers. The concept of chivalry shaped knightly behavior and courtly love. It influenced medieval literature and social norms. The rise of merchant classes and towns transformed medieval economies. It laid groundwork for later capitalism. Islamic Golden Age scholars preserved and advanced knowledge in science, math, and medicine. They translated and built upon Greek and Roman texts. The development of mechanical clocks improved timekeeping accuracy. This innovation changed daily life and work patterns. Medieval universities taught the trivium and quadrivium as core subjects. These formed the basis of liberal arts education. The Inquisition sought to enforce religious orthodoxy in Catholic countries. It involved trials and persecution of heretics. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 ended the Byzantine Empire. It shifted power to the Ottoman Empire. Marco Polo traveled to China and inspired European interest in Asia. His accounts influenced exploration and trade. The Alhambra Palace in Spain exemplifies Islamic art and architecture. It reflects cultural exchanges in medieval Iberia. The invention of spectacles in the 13th century improved vision for many. This medical advancement aided scholars and craftsmen. Medieval guilds regulated trades and protected craftsmen's interests. They were early forms of professional organizations. The Bayeux Tapestry depicts the Norman conquest of England in 1066. It is an important visual historical source. Medieval monasteries preserved classical texts through copying and scholarship. They were centers of learning and cultural transmission. Chapter 4. The Age of Exploration and Revolutions. Christopher Columbus reached the Americas in 1492. His voyages opened the New World to European exploration and colonization. The Treaty of Tordesillas, 1494, divided the New World between Spain and Portugal. It attempted to resolve territorial claims and conflicts. The printing revolution helped spread Renaissance and Reformation ideas. Books and pamphlets reached a wider audience than ever before. Martin Luther's 95 Theses in 1517 sparked the Protestant Reformation. It challenged the Catholic Church's authority and practices. The Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire was led by Hernán Cortés in 1521. It resulted in vast territorial gains and cultural destruction. The scientific revolution began in the 16th century, transforming knowledge. Figures like Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton changed understanding of the universe. The Dutch East India Company, founded in 1602, was the first multinational corporation. It played a major role in global trade and colonization. The English Civil War, 1642 to 1651, led to the temporary overthrow of the monarchy. It questioned divine right and expanded parliamentary power. The Enlightenment emphasized reason, individualism, and skepticism of authority. Philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau influenced politics and society. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 established constitutional monarchy in England. It limited royal power and affirmed parliamentary supremacy. The founding of Jamestown in 1607 was the first permanent English settlement in America. It marked the beginning of British colonial expansion. The 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648, devastated much of Europe. It reshaped religious and political boundaries. Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematica, 1687, formulated the laws of motion and gravity. It laid the foundation for classical physics. The French Revolution began in 1789, overthrowing the monarchy. It promoted ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The Declaration of Independence was adopted by the American colonies in 1776. It asserted their freedom from British rule. The abolition of the transatlantic slave trade gained momentum in the late 18th century. It was driven by moral, economic, and political factors. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain, changing manufacturing and society. It introduced mechanized production and urban growth. The Battle of Waterloo in 1815 ended Napoleon Bonaparte's rule. It restored European monarchies and reshaped the continent. The Enlightenment inspired revolutions and reforms worldwide. It challenged traditional hierarchies and promoted human rights. The establishment of plantations in the Americas relied heavily on enslaved labor. This had lasting social and economic consequences. The Mughal Empire in India reached its zenith under Akbar the Great. He promoted religious tolerance and administrative reforms. The Spanish Armada was defeated by the English Navy in 1588. It marked the decline of Spanish maritime dominance. The Baroque art style flourished during this era, characterized by drama and detail. It reflected religious and political power. The War of Spanish Succession, 1701–1714, realigned European powers. It prevented the unification of France and Spain. The Dutch Golden Age saw advances in art, science, and trade. Artists like Rembrandt and Vermeer emerged. The Salem witch trials in 1692 reflect early American social tensions. They resulted in executions based on hysteria and fear. The development of coffee houses facilitated intellectual exchange. They became centers for discussion during the Enlightenment. The invention of the telescope expanded humanity's view of the cosmos. It challenged geocentric models and advanced astronomy. The British East India Company expanded control over India in the 18th century. It laid groundwork for British colonial rule. Chapter 5: Industrialization and Empire. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain in the late 18th century. It transformed manufacturing with machines, leading to urbanization. Steam engines powered early factories and trains. They revolutionized transportation and industry. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels published the Communist Manifesto in 1848. It criticized capitalism and called for proletarian revolution. The American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, ended slavery in the US. It preserved the Union and abolished institutional slavery. The British Empire reached its territorial peak in the early 20th century. It governed over a quarter of the world's population. Japan modernized rapidly during the Meiji Restoration, 1868. It adopted Western technology and governance. Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species in 1859. It introduced the theory of natural selection. The Berlin Conference, 1884–1885, divided Africa among European powers. It formalized colonial boundaries without African input. The telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. It revolutionized long-distance communication. Women's suffrage movements gained momentum in the 19th century. New Zealand became the first country to grant women the right to vote in 1893. Sigmund Freud developed psychoanalysis in the early 20th century. He explored unconscious drives and their effects on behavior. World War I lasted from 1914 to 1918. It caused over 16 million deaths and reshaped global politics. The Russian Revolution in 1917 led to the rise of communism. It ended Tsarist rule and established the Soviet Union. Albert Einstein published the theory of general relativity in 1915. It revolutionized our understanding of gravity and space-time. The League of Nations was created after World War I. It aimed to promote peace but lacked enforcement power. Mahatma Gandhi led non-violent protests against British rule in India. His methods inspired civil rights movements worldwide. The Great Depression began with the 1929 stock market crash. It caused global economic collapse and mass unemployment. Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany in 1933. His totalitarian regime sparked World War II. Fascism rose in Italy under Benito Mussolini in the 1920s. It promoted authoritarian nationalism and suppression of opposition. World War II began in 1939 with Germany's invasion of Poland. It became the deadliest conflict in history, involving over 30 countries. The Holocaust killed approximately 6 million Jews. It was a systematic genocide carried out by Nazi Germany. The atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. It led to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. The United Nations was founded in 1945. It aimed to prevent future conflicts and promote international cooperation. The Suez Canal, completed in 1869, linked the Mediterranean and Red Seas. It dramatically shortened sea routes between Europe and Asia. Thomas Edison held over 1,000 patents, including for the light bulb. His inventions shaped modern electric life. Marie Curie discovered radioactivity and won 2 Nobel Prizes. She was the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize. The Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 killed an estimated 50 million people. It spread rapidly due to post-war troop movements. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 supported a Jewish homeland in Palestine. It laid groundwork for future Middle East tensions. The Treaty of Versailles formally ended World War I in 1919. Its harsh terms on Germany contributed to World War II. Chapter 6. The Modern Era. The Cold War was a geopolitical tension between the US and Soviet Union after World War II. It influenced global politics, economics, and conflicts for nearly 50 years. The civil rights movement in the US fought racial segregation and discrimination. Key figures like Martin Luther King Jr. promoted non-violent protest. The first human landed on the moon in 1969 during NASA's Apollo 11 mission. Neil Armstrong famously said, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the end of the Cold War. It led to German reunification and greater European integration. The internet was developed in the late 20th century, revolutionizing communication. It has transformed how people access information and connect worldwide. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin in the US. It was a landmark in the struggle for equality. The decolonization of Africa and Asia accelerated after World War II. Many countries gained independence from European powers. The feminist movement gained significant momentum in the 1960s and 1970s. It fought for gender equality and women's rights globally. The fall of apartheid in South Africa in the early 1990s ended institutional racial segregation. Nelson Mandela became the country's first black president in 1994. Globalization increased in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. It connected economies, cultures, and politics more than ever before. The 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2001 reshaped US and global security policies. They led to the war on terror and conflicts in the Middle East. Climate change has become a major global concern in recent decades. Efforts to reduce carbon emissions and protect the environment continue worldwide. The COVID-19 pandemic, starting in 2019, caused worldwide health and economic crises. It accelerated developments in healthcare and remote communication. Artificial intelligence is rapidly advancing, impacting industries and daily life. It raises ethical questions and opportunities for innovation. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 ended the bipolar world order. It led to the independence of 15 republics and major geopolitical shifts. The space race between the US and USSR drove technological innovation during the Cold War. It led to satellite technology and space exploration milestones. The United Nations plays a key role in global peacekeeping and humanitarian efforts. It was founded to prevent future wars after World War II. The European Union formed to promote economic and political cooperation among member states. It has grown to include 27 countries with shared policies. Advances in medicine, such as vaccines, have greatly increased life expectancy worldwide. Eradication of diseases like smallpox is a major achievement. Social media platforms have transformed how people communicate and mobilize. They influence politics, culture, and social movements. The rise of China as a global economic power has shifted international dynamics. Its rapid industrialization has global trade and political implications. Renewable energy technologies are expanding as alternatives to fossil fuels. This shift aims to address climate change and sustainability. The digital revolution has transformed entertainment, education, and work. Streaming, e-learning, and remote jobs are now common. The global population surpassed 8 billion in the early 21st century. This growth presents challenges in resources and urbanization. Major international sporting events like the Olympics promote cultural exchange and unity. They also reflect geopolitical tensions and cooperation. Human rights movements continue to push for equality and justice worldwide. They address issues like LGBTQ+ rights, indigenous peoples, and refugees. Space exploration missions now include Mars rovers and plans for human settlement beyond Earth. They expand our understanding of the universe. The concept of sustainable development aims to balance economic growth with environmental protection. It is key to future global policy.